Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Denise Winkler. I'm a strategic business executive with Google Cloud, and I'm pleased to introduce our guest and client, Jennifer Ricker, Assistant Secretary for the Illinois Department of Innovation and Technology. Today, in today's session, we're going to outline the programs that make up the social safety net, the impact that COVID-19 has had on citizens and the social safety net system, the Google solutions that have been mobilized to assist these agencies. And Jennifer's going to share with us how Google Contact Center AI supported the Illinois Department of Employment Security. Then we'll close with a discussion on how Google Analytics can help our communities to reopen and recover. More than 54 million citizens applied for unemployment in the last 20 weeks. As we implemented stay-at-home orders and social distancing, citizens were directed to portals and call centers to apply for safety net services. This unprecedented volume of citizens in need of services has overwhelmed agency websites, call centers, and staff. Social safety net programs provide critical services: unemployment, food, cash, and housing assistance, health care, child support, and protective services for abused children and the elderly. Leading economists are projecting that more than 40% of the jobs will not come back. So caseload sizes in these social safety net programs are going to remain at record highs. And in addition to that, state and local governments are facing record revenue shortfalls. Reduced tax revenue, high unemployment, and just the cost of responding to the pandemic may force many states to make painful spending cuts. So essentially, local and state governments will need to serve this unprecedented number of citizens with less resources. We've all been impacted by COVID-19, but as we look across the social safety net and the stakeholders involved in this process, citizens have lost their jobs or become ill. They need these benefits quickly, and the portals and call centers are overwhelmed. And many of these individuals and families have never applied for services before, so they need basic guidance on how to apply or even what benefits they're eligible for. And they're also facing the uncertainty of relief programs. What will be available? What won't be available? Employees of these agencies are also overwhelmed by the volume. They've had to almost immediately change and implement new programs and new business processes. Many of them are working from home for the first time ever. They may lack the appropriate equipment or training to do that well. And like us, many of them have children and families at home. The agencies themselves, they're struggling with their current legacy systems. These systems were never built to manage this kind of volume, and they also can't quickly be enhanced to support new programs like pandemic unemployment assistance. So as a result, many of these agencies and their administrators are facing significant public and political pressure. And in addition to that, they've had to, again, almost overnight, develop new processes, enable their staff to work remotely. And that's a huge culture change from what has predominantly been an in-office culture. And then finally, these agencies have a responsibility to make sure that the benefits are being distributed to citizens who are eligible and to prevent improper payments and fraud. As we've worked with local and state agencies across the country, we notice that they're actually facing four primary problems: volume, new programs and legislation, how did they engage virtually, then reopening and recovery. And Google has mobilized a series of solutions to address these issues. Volume, for example, we've implemented virtual waiting rooms that control traffic to public-facing portals. But more importantly, They provide better service and they help calm citizens. They calm them, one, by providing a clock using AI and machine learning to tell them how long they have to wait to apply. They also provide information by bringing forward FAQs so they can spend their time effectively while they're waiting. We've implemented very sophisticated virtual agents on both portals and call centers. And these are not your first generation automated FAQs or tinny mechanical voices. Using artificial intelligence and a highly developed natural language conversational engines, these virtual agents can answer questions and complete routine tasks with really human like engagement. And Jennifer's going to talk about her experiences with our intelligent agents coming up next. We've also used AI and machine learning. We've automated a great deal of processing of documents. Government programs, especially safety net programs, begin and end with documents. And many of these agencies, given the increase in applications, are drowning in paper documents and all sorts of documents. So Google can create and train a model that can digitize and ingest a document, extract that data off the document, whether the document is handwritten or typed. It can pull the data off and put it into fields. It can index the documents to a case, then validate and match that document. So, for example, if a citizen has submitted an application and a verification document like a driver's license or a utility bill, it can match and verify that. And then it can automatically input that data into your core case management system. This enables agencies to redeploy those human agents to higher value activities and help citizens work through much more difficult problems. With new legislation, we've been able to rapidly develop applications and alternative data collection for new programs like the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance or improper payments. And then, more importantly, we can integrate that module back into the legacy system. So this enables agencies to quickly administer these new programs, control volume to their website, and data to their portals. With virtual engagement, our virtual collaboration and conferencing solution, G Suite's Google Meet, enables agencies to not only support a remote workforce, but enable virtual service delivery to citizens. Whether it's meetings and collaboration between coworkers, between government staff and community providers, or providing virtual services to citizens, Google Meet is ideal for government to citizen interaction because it only requires a web-enabled device. And when we come to reopen and recovery, states are going to need to look for efficiencies to manage the continued high volume. The solutions we've already talked about, such as intelligent agents, automatic document processing, rapid AI, those can be expanded across the government ecosystem to other programs to help gain those efficiencies. In addition, other solutions are going to be needed. Getting people back to work will be critical. So virtual career centers that can help support a much higher volume of citizens who are seeking reentry into the job market. Given the number of citizens and the dollars associated with these programs, agencies will need solutions that identify improper payments and fraud. And then finally, and probably most importantly, data analytics will be critical. And we're going to cover some data analytics options at the end of our session. But it's always nice to hear about outcomes from clients. So Jennifer, would you share some of the issues that the Illinois Department of Employment Security was facing and how Google Contact Center AI was able to help your agency?
Sure. Thank you, Denise. And thank you again for letting me have the opportunity here to share the challenges that Illinois specifically was facing, and in particular the Illinois Department of Employment Security. So, like what you just described, what the situation that was happening across the country was the same really for Illinois. Shortly after the pandemic began, we began to see a large, really unprecedented volume of inquiries and activities on our website, calls to our contact center, and attempts to file new unemployment requests. So, and these changes were really the volumes that we were seeing have never been experienced before in the state. So to say we weren't necessarily prepared for that was an understatement. So we're talking about really orders of magnitude difference. An average day prior to the pandemic for our website, for IDES's website, would have been maybe 40,000 hits in a day versus what we started to see, 1 million hits in a day, which quickly impacted, our servers and the system itself that was trying to process the application. So on the other end of that, then when our residents were unable to get to the website, get their questions answered there, then they start calling the contact center, which then overwhelms the agents on the phones and overwhelms that system as well. So it really became just a snowball effect for all channels. In particular, and I'll mention too that one of the reasons this also snowballed, previously the Department of Employment Security, like a lot of our state agencies, was still dealing with a lot of very manual, very paper processes, a lot of walk-ins at their local offices, which obviously with the shutdown, those had to close. That contact and that avenue of connecting with the state was closed to our residents. So again, that helped to drive the volumes that we were seeing on the website and on the phones. So really, as we started to look at what are the solutions for this, thinking about the volumes that we were receiving, there was absolutely no way we were going to, one, hire enough agents quick enough and train them quick enough to handle this kind of volume. So frankly, this type of technology becoming that force multiplier was the only solution, the quickest solution, and the best solution. So the way we handled that was really to begin to work with Google and really implement this virtual agent contact center technology. And it was I will say, much easier than I would have expected, quicker than I would have expected. And we were very successful with that. So the first phase was really deploying that on what we thought could be the quickest and what would have the biggest impact first. And that was really on our website and deploying the chatbot onto the website. Again, that was highly successful. I will say within the first 2 weeks of operation, I think it handled 3 million or more web inquiries. We were also able to verify, as you talked about, Google's analytics and the ability to track really what's happening behind the scenes. We were able to pull the data from there and take a look at dashboards to know that not only did it handle that number of inquiries, but those were almost without fail successful. So the questions that were being asked were being answered successfully. And we also were able to very easily add new intents and change those intents, as you mentioned, the legislation that changed quite frequently on the federal side. So as those changes happened, it was much easier to change those intents and add new intents to the bot, so that residents, as they have new questions about, okay, this just changed, or how do I apply for this, or do I qualify for this, it's really easy. Rather than trying to search through the website, they can just easily ask the question in, as you mentioned, a very conversational manner with the web bot. And then same thing, after we got that up and running, it was successful. We moved on to our contact center again, very easy, although we did integrate with, our technology that we utilize to run our contact center. Again, it was relatively easy. We've been able to utilize, again, the same type of intents. It's very conversational. People are able to speak to the agent. So that has been really surprisingly, very, very much beneficial to us as well. And I would also mention that previously, IDES, their contact center was a, during the day type of operation. So adding this, virtual agent to the phone allowed those questions to continue to be answered after hours, all night long, over the weekends, et cetera. So again, the ability for us to really quickly implement these, they're easy to scale, they're easy to continue to manage and maintain, has been phenomenal for us, and we continue to expand this to other agencies as well, other agencies' websites. So we're really pleased with how this has really rolled out and been deployed. So thank you again for letting me share, and I'll turn it back to you, Denise.
Thank you, Jennifer. In the midst of one of the largest surges of citizens who need services, your story really demonstrates the unique capability and value of Google Cloud technology. It can scale to petabytes of data, enabling states to manage that extraordinary volume. The time to deliver, we were able to deliver these solutions in days and weeks, not months. It's also serverless, so there's no hardware installation. And I think integration is also important. We were able to modernize critical components and then integrate them with an existing legacy system, which provides the cost effectiveness. Our approach to public sector is to be cost effective, but also to make that cost predictable. And so these are the principles that support governments in modernizing around some of these legacy systems and dealing with this current issue. So let's spend a little time talking about how we can support recovery with analytics. Everyone, citizens and leaders, want to reopen and recover, but one of the key components of success is data. As a 20-year veteran of social services, I realized that the social safety net agencies could be overwhelmed, but providing the data to state and local leaders to address that challenge would be difficult. So I engage with Google Cloud Value Advisors, our Center of Excellence, to work with federal and state publicly available data sets so that we could provide dashboards that would help estimate the potential economic impact of relief programs and the potential increase for citizen applications and involvement in safety net programs. And this type of data would help state leaders be able to develop data-driven plans to support citizens in our communities. So initially, we thought that leaders needed insights into 4 key areas. It would help to understand the vulnerable industry sectors in their state or community. Since economists have estimated that 40% of the jobs won't recover, how much of your state's employment basis is at risk? Second, given the high level of unemployment, what percentage of your state's economy is coming from temporary relief programs and from traditional safety net programs? Thirdly, what is the impact to your state's economy when relief programs are added or expired? And then also, what is the gap when temporary relief programs are gone? So this particular dashboard, employment vulnerability, our cloud value advisors developed a series of dashboards to visualize these insights. This particular dashboard shows the percentage of vulnerable industry sectors nationally and also by state. So for example, leisure and hospitality are vulnerable as well as retail. This dashboard estimates that 39.1% of the US employment is in vulnerable industries. This type of data can also be shown by state, so it would enable state and local leaders to develop much more effective recovery plans for their particular community. The contribution of benefits. There are a multitude of state, federal, and local relief programs that are providing benefits to citizens, but at the same time, those benefits are contributing to that community's economy. So, using the federal pandemic unemployment compensation as an example, this dashboard estimates how much federal pandemic unemployment compensation contributes to a state's gross domestic product. So it provides leaders with insights into the economic impact of those programs. So again, leaders can develop the policies to address those specific issues. And then economic impact and surge. As different relief programs expire, citizens may be eligible for other programs. This dashboard estimates the potential surge, for example, in food assistance applications as the pandemic unemployment compensation expires. This will enable leaders to be better prepared for the impact of these surges. At Google, we spent a great deal of time discussing how technology can assist social safety net agencies and our communities and country in reopening and recovery. But in closing, I think it's important to keep in mind that when systems that support social safety net programs slow or fail, there's a very real human cost. Children go hungry, rent can't be paid, lives are impacted. Keeping these systems functioning is critical to our citizens, our communities, and our recovery, and Google is committed to assisting wherever it can. Thank you for your time today.